new concept. Um, kind of going back to something I enjoy, kind of just doing some underwater images. Now, doing the water, I used a 1-inch flat brush. I should have used the normal 3-inch. This is a smaller painting, but I just figured it was smaller, so I'd use that. Right now, I'm just going to come in and just bring some highlights out. And indicating the sunlight. I did do some already. This is just random. Everything's, how it goes. Some things work, some things don't. Want to show you some of the tools I use for detail. Of course, my regular glasses and my close-up glasses, which helps with the detail. But I also wanted to show you another tool that actually I invented about 25 years ago. When I was working at the museum, I was doing some pencil renderings and was having trouble with smudging. Mainly because this gets all full, and I'm sure everybody's experience of you work with pencil, this gets kind of really full of graphite. And sometimes you put a paper and that works, or you put a tissue and that works, but sometimes you end up smearing the things. So I sent the project down to our carpenters, great, talented guys. And I explained to them what I wanted. I wanted a plexiglass, 1/2-inch thick, side pieces on the backside. Now they made me 2 of them, one that's this size and a larger one. Anyway, so what I did is I had them make it. Of course, my idea was a concept. There was the finished product, which was extraordinary. Professional anybody's do things that people just don't understand. That's what they do. Anyway, so I could use it to do small detail and stay off the paper itself. But I could have a lot of uses for doing straight lines. Now, the funny thing is, stupid me, I've never seen anything like that, never even heard of stuff like that. That's a little bit too bold, but what happened was, years later, I saw my invention. One of those, like maybe 5 years later, I saw this invention in an art supply paper. And I thought, wow, that looks very familiar. Now, their concept was close. It was not exactly like mine, but I'm sure people are not really interested in having the original one. They actually cut or shaved down the sides and then fired the edges with a flame, and that kind of smooths things out to a glass finish. Now, I should have put a patent on it, but I didn't. I was not thinking in those terms back then. I just needed something, and I asked somebody to help me with my idea. But that's the way things go. I'm sure everybody has all these ideas, and every once in a while you kind of say, oh, I got a great idea, and then you don't follow through. Or sometimes you do follow through, but you don't take it to the next step. That is kind of life. Anyway, this is kind of started off with a different concept in my brain. Now, hopefully, you can see what's going on here. I'll kind of zoom in a little bit. So, my shark, and that's pretty small. Now I'm going to work the background and the coral, which is still kind of rough. I wanted to show you one fish I'm working on right now. Now this one is still the same size as this. And what I did is I left the bluing. The bluing effect will put it at distance, and then I'm going to make these regular bright. Still not sure about the concept, so I'm going to work on that and then work on the coral a little bit and come back. Okay, so I did a lot more work. Worked in the background, coral in the background. Came in with some more coral. Now this still looks flat. I'll do a slight demonstration on this. Did more work to the fish. I'm going to do a little something on that. I'll zoom in just a minute. Over here in this corner I have a really beautiful coral. It's kind of a lot of reddish and pink colors. But like I said, I'll zoom in just a minute. Now, I guess this would be slow motion cross hatching. And I guess said on previous videos, this is only somewhat scientific. I guess this is me being in a revolution. I've mentioned that before. But I just want to paint for pleasure. And let me see if I can zoom in right now. Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, so I'm just going to come in here. Obviously, I can get more detailed than this, but I don't want to. I'm just doing a demonstration, somewhat. And I'm going to show you just in a minute how I'm going to change the flat looking coral below this fish to something that has a little bit more volume, three-dimensionality I always call it. Okay, so let's see. Let me get a brush. Okay, so this is somewhat flat. Right in here, I guess I have a close-up so you can see this. This is like awesome little detail. This by accident bled through, and it has like little teeny tendrils. And it's happening here a little bit, but this is definitely looking flat. So I am going to come in and hopefully I can already see it happening. Stuff that's not really visible, it's starting to bleed out. And just those little teeny tendrils coming out. Hopefully you can see it transforming into something with volume. Really like this little accident thing. That's what's so awesome about watercolors. Some of those things you just don't have control over, and they just happen, which makes it almost impossible to duplicate this. It's going to be original no matter what. This will never be reproduced the same with the same results. It just takes on a life of its own in a sense. Now these details are somewhat microscopic, so most people, if they were just to view it, wouldn't see it. Now I gotta go back in time. So when I used to work at the museum, one of those things that used to freak me out. You know, it's just the way people are. I can't really fault them. You know, we used to spend months and years designing these intricate dioramas. People used to go to Africa, Amazon, everywhere to find reference and samples and bring them back to the museum. And it was up to people like me to, or one of the people, to design a diorama and figure out what it could look like in its natural state, using references and things that we brought back. But school kids, and this is where I'm leading to. Of course, they don't understand. It's just what young people do. They would run through like the African Hall, and they would actually go, oh, rhino, and then just run elephant, and then just run to the next one, and you know, and just name the animals that they could see and recognize. But that's just what young people do. They don't have any idea that all those hundreds of thousands of leaves are all handmade and made by hand and volunteers. And yeah, it just took so much time. And so sometimes I wanted to stop those kids and explain what you just passed up, but never did that. So just one of the things where your work will be appreciated later in life, I would imagine. So let me get some of this out. I'm gonna come in here, and you can see it's starting to develop from that flat surface like this. And it's not much, it's just a little time. That little bit of extra effort just sends it into a different level. I guess I'm getting too far ahead here. Let's see. Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm gonna do, oops. I'm going to do a little demonstration here. Not too much detail, but how I did this. I'll zoom in a bit so you can see what it looks like. Now I'm going overlapping the background, and I'll work this. This is just a rough outline. And as if you can tell from this side, I put some darker areas for like shadows and then brought some out for the highlights. So far it's turning out well. I'm planning to put more fish, tiny little fish in the background like the way it would be in a reef situation. Now I'll put a little bit of water on the edges. Maybe I'll just do that now, just to fan out the edges a little bit. Just gives that softness to the edges. Anyway, you can see what's happening there. Still need to do work on that. I'm going to come in with more layers of purple in there. So let's take a look closer. So you can see what I was talking about, hopefully. There's the dark spots and pulling out of the highlights. And it's just a matter of doing layers, working the background. I'll probably blend some of this into the background. This is all going to have layers. So right now this is still flat, and I'll put some darks and lights into this to bring it out. The fish this is the last one. I'll put some highlights and just redefine the edges of those fish. Let's see. The detail on those fish are a lot nicer than some that I've done before. Now you have to understand, these things are tiny. So yeah, so it's almost like painting on a quarter, especially the faces. But sometimes I need to do smaller pieces and just detail them. I feel more comfortable doing the larger pieces. You can easily do those, but sometimes the challenge is to do fine detail on a smaller scale. Part of that scientific background that drives me nuts. I'm going to come over here more, and you can see what I was talking about here. So the layering you can see happening. So there's that light purple and kind of the yellow orange is bleeding into the background, kind of putting it further back. Again, I will detail this background here. Let me see if I can pull into the shark some. And that. But anyway, I could see that it still needs a little bit more detail in the eye, some more shading, rounding, and define the gill slits more. Again, this is pretty tiny, so I'll be using magnification and some fine brushes, triple aught or less. So this is my next adventure. Now this is getting close to the finish, so I'm going to just do a few things, not having to do the entire thing. So you would get the sensation of what I'm doing. Just that little bit just enhances the depth of this coral. And I'm not going to do the other side, you don't need to do that. So another thing is this too. I'm just going to do the same thing. Now I'll blend this out. I'm not going to do this part. I'm just going to show you what is happening here. Now I'm going to zoom in a bit, just in case. Sometimes that goes off the general area, but just so you can see, just barely tapping it a bit. Now basically what I would do too is just to give it a little bit more volume, came in with just a slight bit of ultramarine to the green, and you can see that just that little bit of darkening enhances this coral. Now I'm going to pull back out just in case. Okay, so now sometimes I leave things undone so people can see the process, and I'm going to do that with this. It has a very graphic quality. I'll show you in just a minute what I did to this on the other side, just to make it have volume. But I'm just going to come into this a little bit. I may leave the lighter purple in the background the way it is. I'm just adding a little bit of volume. As soon as I show the other side, I'm going to stop. I think I've kind of went through the whole process. I'm already working on another project in my head. That's kind of just what I normally do, is I'm painting now and painting inside my brain about something different. And that just keeps, I can make all the corrections thinking about, oh, I should add this, I don't need that. And I don't know if you've ever seen any of my other videos, but I do a sketch, but it's so so basic, it's almost unrecognizable if you were to see the sketch to the painting that I come up with, because it's just elementary, just some scribbles pretty much, but that scribble means something to me. Anyway, so you can see what I'm doing there. I'm going to pull back and show this on the other side. Okay, so you can see right in here, just pulling out those highlights. It does give it a nice kind of, I'm going to probably come in here, just add a couple of lines, so it's just not one blob. But you can see the darks and lights kind of happening here. Yes, this is kind of working out for me. Of course, nothing's ever finished, but this is like the 90% that I have on everything, and I continually add more as time goes on. Thank you. Hello, I'm Steve Melendres. a model maker, illustrator, scientific illustrator, sculptor, design natural history museum in Los Angeles. Done a lot of different things, but I'm going to be doing watercolor demonstrations of the techniques I've developed over the years, and it's going to go from a lot of different directions. And also I'm going to be doing videos, I call them video posters for my daughter, so a lot of stuff that I can leave to my daughter about her crazy dad. So I'm taking a lot of different directions, but mainly three. So anyway, that's my introduction that I'm going to attach to everything I'm doing now, so I don't have to repeat this. Be careful.